Hi guys, welcome to another RGI Easy Sewing session. And the last time we showed you how to make your bias binding. Today we're going to show you how to properly attach bias binding. So in this video you will learn how to attach the bias binding together and then how to attach it onto the neckline of a garment. Let's do this. Some people attach their bias binding just as a regular seam, but that is not correct. The proper way to attach your bias binding is also on the diagonal. So you cut on the diagonal and you attach on the diagonal. That way you have what resembles a continuous bias binding. So here we are. We have the right side of our first bias, and you can tell because the wrong side would have the pieces folded like this, and we have our second right side. So we're putting right side over right side, and we're going to sew from this end to this end. I open out my folded sides and I stitch diagonally, that's at the 45-degree angle, just as we did when we were cutting. And there you have it, our joined bias. The way you attach the bias binding to your project all depends on the finish that you would like. So if you are looking for a finish where the bias strip is not visible on the right side of the fabric, you are going to do your first stitch on the right side and then flip and do your second stitch on the wrong side. That way your bias binding will be hidden. If you want your bias binding to show, you're going to stitch it first on the side of the fabric, just as you see I have here, and then you will stitch the right side. I'm now going to attach my bias binding to my armhole, and in this instance I am looking for a finish where my bias binding is going to be visible on the right side of the fabric. So I attach my bias binding first, the right side of the bias to the wrong side of the fabric. You will notice the way that my seam is finished here. This is a French seam, and this is going to be our next video. So ensure that you like, subscribe, and you can hit the notification bell so that you know exactly when that video comes out. It is important to sew on the crease of your fold. So remember, we've opened out our fold and we're going to sew on the crease here. I can actually see the crease through my top fabric. Okay, so this is the right side of our fabric, and this is what our stitch bias looks like. And now we fold, and we are going to put our top stitch. And you want to sew as close to your edge as possible. So here you have it, your bias binding on the right side of your material, and this is how it looks on the wrong side of the material.